Welcome to Clinical Trialblazers, a podcast of Parexel Biotech, where we dive deep into the journeys of the industry leaders shaping clinical research and biotech innovation. I am your host, Alberto Grignolo. In this episode, I am joined by Dr. Antti Vuolanto, Chief Executive Officer of Herantis Pharma. Based in Finland, Dr. Vuolanto has vast experience in research and development, financing, and partnering. Prior to joining Herantis Pharma, he was the Chief Operating Officer at Valo Therapeutics, Executive Vice President at Targovax ASA, and Chief Operating Officer and co-founder of Oncos Therapeutics, which merged with Targovax in 2015. Today, we will discuss Dr. Vuolanto's career journey, the challenges and opportunities in developing new therapies for Parkinson's disease and other central nervous system diseases, and his insights on the future of clinical research. Antti, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, and I'm very pleased to be here.
So let's dive right in. First, Antti, Finland, where you reside, is consistently ranked as the top happy country in the world. By comparison, the United States is 24th, and my country of origin, Italy, is 41st. So what accounts for all this happiness in Finland?
Well, that's maybe one of the toughest questions I've ever had. I think it's a combination of having or being able to live close to the nature. We have a huge area, but only 6 million people living here. And the second thing is, I think, we have a culture of balancing between the work life, the family, and also like holidays and stuff. So I believe that we have a good balance overall in the life, and that maybe makes us happier.
Great message. Thank you. So let's really get into the more serious questions. Now that happiness is not a serious business, which it is, but your education was in biotechnology, and you have worked in this industry in various roles since 2004. So what drew you into the world of innovation and clinical development in CNS diseases? And was this path intentional, or was it accidental or serendipitous?
Definitely not planned like originally to be like this. So I'm actually a bioengineer by background. I studied process engineering, so maybe manufacturing of laundry enzymes or something like that, or brewing or winemaking or something like that. So large scale biotech industry. But I ended up, after doing my PhD in a diagnostics company. So we tried to develop novel type of diagnostics for sepsis. So that was a very important work at that time, and that gave me motivation to think a bit more like maybe drug development would be nice. And then this is a surprising thing, it was Christmas time 2008. A friend of mine who is actually a physicist called me that, hey Antti, I'm going to start a company which is a cancer drug company. And I said, ooh, you are a physicist, why do you call me? That sounds like medical and engineering and biotech. And yeah, that's why I called you, because you have some background in biotech. So then we ended up in founding a company called Oncos Therapeutics that was in immune oncology or oncolytic viruses. So we tried to kill cancer cells by using targeted viruses. And that was my starting of my career in pharmaceutical industry, 2008. Then I spent almost 10 years in immune oncology in several oncolytic virus companies. And then actually the same guy with whom I started the company, Oncos, actually asked me to join Herantis 2017. He was at that time the CEO of Herantis, and I joined Herantis back 2017 or early 2018, and that was actually then the starting point for my CNS career. And why CNS? Because the patients are living with the disease for a very long time, and it's gradually worsening the condition, and you are continuously aware that things are getting verse. I thought that this is really like something that you can really make a difference for a long and for a very long time, and improving the quality of life for people living with the disease, but also the close ones. So it's been a great journey.
This physicist that called you initially for the immuno-oncology company and then for Herantis, would you consider this person to be a mentor for you? Were there perhaps other mentors or role models in your life so far that have helped you get to where you are?
There are like a large number of professionals who have contributed in a way to my career. They are both from the engineering side, but also from the medical industry side. And I think the best advice from all these individuals are like, you need to really believe that you are able to learn new things, and you can be the professional if you wish, if you want to do that. You just need to believe that you can do it, and that's it. Pekka, who was this one guy, the previous CEO of Herantis, he's a long personal friend of mine, so I can't, in a way, think him as a mentor because we have known 30 years. But there are definitely many people who have been like mentoring me to become what I'm now, and I'm sure that I will meet another group of people who will still be like mentoring me, and hopefully I can then at certain time point to transfer my knowledge to the next generation.
And that's an example today. For example, you transfer your knowledge on this conversation to other people. So looking back, what were some pivotal moments or decisions that most shaped your leadership journey as a scientist, as an entrepreneur, as an executive?
When I actually decided to join and join the team as with an operational role. At that time, I just had like my third child was born, and the company didn't have financing, and I have a resignation period of I think 4 or 5 months. So I just had to, in a way, decide that okay, really promising project. We don't have financing, but if I want to join, really contribute, I need to resign now and hope for the best in a way. But then I thought that, would I regret if I wouldn't do this? And I said to myself that, yes, I really would regret this. And starting from that, it's been really great. A steep learning curve, and my first assignment was to start producing viruses for clinical trials. I didn't have any experience in clinical trials, GMP, or anything like that with virus particles, which are not maybe the easiest investigational products that you can imagine. But we did that in less than 2 years. We had the GMP materials available for clinical trials, and you learn by doing. And when you don't know, you ask and you find out, and that's the way it goes. And that's been, in a way, then I understood that, yes, I can really do this. And you need to take the advice, but you need to also think what is the best way and use your common sense and make your own path.
It takes a certain amount of courage to jump into something in which you have no experience. Do you consider yourself a courageous person, a risk taker?
I guess I am. I would not call myself as a risk taker in a way, like right now. But if I look back what I've done, well, it's a fact that I am a risk taker. Perfect. And I get, in a way, bored if I do something for the third time. First time it's really like nice. Second time it's okay. It's like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. And third time it's like, well, I've done this. I know what is going to happen. So it's boring.
Okay. So getting a little deeper, what experiences, successes, and learnings in your previous roles in the industry molded you into who you are today as a chief executive officer of Herantis?
The biggest learning has been with everlasting challenges with financing. So there always has been some level of lack of resources, and trying to balance with the limited resources and high hopes, and then how to communicate this to the team and also the investors and other stakeholders, and learning that honesty is the word. You need to be really open and honest about what is going to happen with the personnel. We don't have the financing for the next month's salaries until something happens, and be really open about what we are here and why we are doing this. So that's been maybe the most important thing.
To be able to speak the hard truth to your colleagues, your people, and to be honest and transparent has worked for you over the years.
Absolutely.
Herantis is focused on developing a therapy for Parkinson's disease called HER096, if I remember correctly. What does it mean to you personally to work on something that could change the lives of millions suffering from neurodegenerative diseases, and in this case, Parkinson's?
I just cannot imagine that I would do anything else. You don't need to think in the mornings why I wake up and why I go to the office and why I do this, because all that we have done so far seems really promising. Of course, we don't know. We are in phase 1. We don't know whether it's actually functional in humans. But of course, we want to know. We want to show that this really functions. Of course, if we can globally help these people in Parkinson's disease now, but hopefully with the same biology in other disease areas as well, I think that would allow me to open a bottle of wine in the evening and say that, well, nice job, Antti. It's all sometimes good also to remember that we are also like human beings, and it's nice to do something good.
I hear you. HER096 is described as a synthetic blood-brain barrier penetrating CDNF protein peptidomimetic. That's quite a mouthful. How do you explain to a layperson what makes this molecule unique and why it might succeed where others have failed?
Yes. Well, you are absolutely correct that when you put it in that way, it's not very simple, but let's try to simplify a bit. CDNF is cerebral dopamine neurotrophic factor, which is a neurotrophic factor that was invented by Helsinki University like 20 years ago. And actually, Herantis was established based on that discovery. And CDNF is a neurotrophic factor whose biological function is to protect dopaminergic neurons. So we all have it. And we as a company studied CDNF for the treatment of Parkinson's disease like 10 years ago, first in preclinical settings and then also in clinical settings in fairly advanced Parkinson's patients. And actually the results were pretty good. The downside was that as a protein, we had to administer CDNF intracranially. So basically, the patients had a surgical operation where a capillary system, a physical, like small pipes were installed within the brain of the patients. And using those capillaries, then the CDNF protein was administered or injected to putamen, the area of the degenerating neurons. After discussions with pharma, it was obvious that no one is going to commercialize in large scale this kind of a molecule, that you need to have very exotic route of administration. And there comes
neurosurgery, essentially.
Essentially, yes. And there comes the great innovation that we found the active side of the protein. And we did some in silico modeling and came up with a library of compounds that mimic the active site and the activity of the protein. And we ended up finally with HER96, which has exactly the same mechanism of action, but we can administer HER96 peripherally, which is subcutaneous administration in the abdomen area. And that's something that no one else has been able to do.
You think HER096 might succeed because it is able to penetrate the blood-brain barrier, where in fact large proteins obviously cannot and have to be injected directly into the brain. Do I have that right?
Yes, correct. And of course, the target mechanism, the biology that we address is quite unique. So to our knowledge, no one else is using or targeting this biology currently, at least in clinical development. It has been targeted earlier, but without a great success.
Herantis is built on, as you mentioned, extensive research into CDNF. What were the biggest scientific and translational hurdles you had to overcome in moving from discovery to where you are now, clinical development?
Yeah, I think the biggest hurdle most likely was establishing or starting the clinical trial with the earlier protein CDNF, including the neurosurgery and the implantation of the administration device and collecting financing for that. So that was a really difficult project and took a very long time. If we talk about HER96, we selected that as a lead candidate. I think it was May 2021, so it was 4 years ago. And within 4 years, we have completed full preclinical studies, the preclinical toxicology studies, manufacturing, phase 1A clinical study, and now we are about to complete the phase 1B study by September. That has been actually very efficient and very smooth process, I would say. So there hasn't been not too many challenges that would have delayed our path. So we are actually very pleased about the progress with HER96.
How is it administered specifically in these current trials?
So it's a subcutaneous administration 2 times per week for the Parkinson's patients. And in the phase 1B trial, it's a 4-week treatment. So it's a fairly short treatment. And of course, as a phase 1B study, the main objective is safety and tolerability.
Subcutaneous administration is certainly much more convenient than intracerebral administration, obviously.
Absolutely.
Let's talk about money. Raising capital for novel neurotherapies, especially in Europe, can be challenging, and I'm sure you know that. How did you convince investors to believe in HER096 and in your vision for Herantis?
Yes, that's a very good question. As Herantis is a public company, we IPO'd 2014, so it's 11 years ago. And at that time, we were about to start the CDNF clinical study, and we had some other assets as well. And then, of course, we ran the phase 1 study with CDNF, and then we informed the market that actually we will take a step back and go back into preclinical studies with HER96 or the next generation molecules. Then we selected HER96, and now we are back in the clinic. So we basically went couple of steps back and then again forward. And if you look at our investor base, they are not specialists, so they don't understand so deeply drug development. So it has been challenging, but we also have had the fortune that we have good investors who have believed that yes, we are eventually going to deliver also return on their investment. So it's been really challenging. And of course, generally speaking, globally, biotech financing has been really challenging for the past 3-4 years already. But so far, we have been pretty maybe lucky or skillful, or I don't know what is the reason, but we have been at least we are happy about the progress, and we have been able to carry out the HER96 development as planned, and now we are delivering phase 1B results and moving into phase 2 next. So I think it's a pretty nice performance from the company.
Help me understand, the investors that have in fact invested, have they done so because they understand technically, scientifically what you're trying to do, and therefore they invest, or do they trust your capabilities?
Yeah, I think earlier it was more about trusting in our capabilities. But of course, a year ago, we announced the support from the Michael J. Fox Foundation and Parkinson's UK for the phase 1B, which of course gave also us an external validation that the best experts for Parkinson's disease paid the whole phase 1B trial. And that all, of course, was highly positively regarded from the investor point of view that, okay, we have someone else who is in a way validating our case, and we are doing the right things. And that was, of course, very important for us.
Did the Michael J. Fox Foundation go deep into the science before they endorsed you, if you will? Did they have such a deep understanding of what you're trying to do that they were confident in basically advocating and supporting your work?
Absolutely. So both the Michael J. Fox Foundation and Parkinson's UK did a due diligence, which was mainly about the science and the data that we had generated by that time. So it was purely based on the scientific excellence that we had in our data, and the perspective that no one has been able to stop the progression of Parkinson's disease. And based on the data they reviewed, they believe that we are in the leading group of being one of the earliest that can achieve that goal.
That's right. Going back to the trust concept, how were you able to develop trust with your investors?
There is a long history with the same investors, and to be honest, we haven't been able to deliver, in a way, at least the economical perspective of the investors. They have only invested, and we haven't provided any return on that. It's a combination of being really transparent in what we are doing, so our investor relations policy, and then the fact that there are not too many companies in Finland who is trying to, or who is in the business of drug development. And I'm sure that some of the investors also believe that this will be one of the key strengths going forward, and they want to be building the infrastructure around drug development and commercialization of the great academic innovations that Finland has, but not so much like commercial successes yet. But we, of course, believe that we will be one of the key contributors there to build this kind of a new industry in Finland, so to say.
And so the trust that they placed in you is linked to a broader, perhaps national priority, essentially, to deliver innovation to the world.
Supported by many studies, it is known that the scientific or academic research in Finland, in life sciences generally, and also in medical sciences, is really like high quality. But if you look at the innovation, the true like commercial success stories, it's not matching in a way the academic innovations, and everybody understands in Finland that we need to concentrate more on how we commercialize, how we actually utilize and exploit those like academic innovations. Of course, there is a long way from finding an idea or even patenting an idea until it's commercially available and making a credible business story.
That's right. My understanding, Antti, is that HER96 is the only molecule under development, Herantis. Is that correct?
Yes, that's the only molecule that is in active development. We actually have a library of related compounds from which we might be able to select new candidates, but for the time being, we are concentrating fully on HER96 and Parkinson's disease.
You're a self-described risk taker, as we have already discussed. So how risky is it for Herantis to have only one molecule in development at this time?
I believe that we just need to do our best, and we can't do much more. But yeah, you are absolutely correct. It is risky. But on the other hand, if we would, in a way, use our resources to advance multiple projects at the same time, we might not achieve the results that we can now achieve with HER96 in Parkinson's disease, as we are fully concentrating on that. I believe that this is the best and only way of going forward to show in Parkinson's disease what we can do. And then once we have shown that, then expand from that and utilize the same biology for other disease areas.
So far in clinical trials, whether Herantis or in your previous companies, what have been your highest highs and the lowest lows, if you will, in clinical trials? Were there moments anywhere along your career journey where you felt like just giving up?
Yeah, so I've been involved in many clinical trials in very different modalities. We ran a gene therapy trial. It was phase 2 randomized study with great phase 1 data. And we all believe that this is going to be a great product treating lymphedema. But we actually couldn't show any efficacy in phase 2 study. And that was a big surprise. And we were really much thinking about, did we do something wrong? Was the setup wrong? Eventually, we just couldn't find any reason, but the data was exactly what it was. So we couldn't see any difference between the active group and the placebo group. I thought that, can we do in a small biotech anything else than this? So we did everything that we could, and this is the end result. And maybe that's the beauty of the drug development, that we can do our job perfectly, and then eventually we only show that yes, we are as good as the placebo. But that's built in our business.
I guess if we do quality work, the answers we get are credible answers. They may not be the answers we like, exactly, but at least the science is solid enough that the answer can be believed. Fair enough?
Yes, absolutely. Exactly like that. You asked also about the highest highs. Yeah. All the discussions with patients, when you are exposed to patients and you tell what you are aiming to do, and those discussions and those interactions, I think they always give a lot of motivation, because then you are reminded that yes, I'm actually doing the right things. We are doing the right things, and we are doing something for the greater benefit. So it's just great.
How do you move into the area of what kind of leader you are? How do you keep your team motivated when things get tough, as they often do, whether it's clinical setbacks, funding delays, or regulatory uncertainty? What kind of leader do you strive to be? How do you keep everybody motivated, moving forward, and not slow down in any way?
I keep reminding my colleagues that we are human beings. We have our limits. And we need to remember that balance in your life is very important. So we are not doing 100 meters sprint. Drug development is a marathon, and you can't do this unless you do that in the right pace. And of course, when you run a clinical trial program, until it's done, even phase 1, it's a 1.5 years project or 2 years project. You can't push too much. And you need to allow some time also for the brain work. And sometimes it's better to walk with your dog in a forest without thinking your job. And then eventually you get the idea, now I understand, I remember, this is what we need to do. So human brain requires also, in a way, resting quite a bit. That's one part, I think. We are human beings, we need to have the family, and we need to have the balance in order to perform well. And then maybe the other thing is that we need to be really open and honest. I have experienced serious challenges with, for example, financing. It's for the colleagues, it's easier when you go there and say that, okay, January, I would say that, okay, in April, I'm not sure if we can pay your salaries. We are doing our best, but currently we don't know that. And everybody says, okay, we understand. Keep us posted. Of course, not the ideal situation. And then we can discuss about that. But if I would do that, let's say 1 week before the pay date, actually, we haven't sorted this yet out, and I wanted to save you from the negative news or whatnot. It doesn't work. So you need to be really honest, especially when you are having some troubles. I think that's extremely important. And I think those couple of fundamental things has helped me a lot as in my career as a leader. And then of course one thing is sometimes it's good to listen and not to speak too much yourself. You might even learn something from your colleagues and from the organization.
Good message. That dovetails with my next question, and that is, what advice would you give to young scientists or young entrepreneurs hoping to bring a first-in-class therapy to the market? We all know that's not easy. So what advice would you give to the younger selves?
That's a tough one. That's a really tough one. Expose yourself to as many professionals as you can and listen. Don't believe in everything, but listen and try to understand the other party's angle, where they come from, why they give you a certain message. And then you just need to make your own path and do things in your own way. But you need to remember that there are some general guidelines related to regulatory processes and financing and stuff. So it's also good to really carefully listen about the experiences of the others, but don't believe everything. And of course, world is changing. So you don't necessarily hear today's news from old guys who have done something 10 or 20 years ago, for example, using AI or something like that. So
finally, Antti, as Herantis prepares for upcoming milestones in clinicals, including further development of HER96, what does success look like to you over the next 2 to 3 years?
So in September this year, we will report the phase 1b results. And then, of course, the natural next step would be phase 2. And the phase 2, currently, we are planning to run that either with investors or together with pharma. In 2 to 3 years, I hope that we have the readout from a randomized phase 2 trial where we have shown that HER96 can stop the progression of Parkinson's disease. And if we do that, that would be just awesome. And that would, of course, enable Herantis to start addressing other diseases like Alzheimer's and even some non-CNS diseases where one of the underlying reasons is linked to the same biology that we are currently addressing.
Right. Well, I certainly wish you and Herantis great good luck on behalf of patients, really, whom you're seeking to help in Parkinson's and perhaps other neurodegenerative diseases as part of Finland's push to deliver innovation to the world. I heard many important messages from you today. One was the importance of building trust among your people, your peers, your reports, investors and patients and many others, the importance of taking risks, the importance of balance. I've heard you say that balance is so important to be able to actually think better and think innovatively. So I might draw a contrast between a happy, balanced worker and a happy but stressed workaholic, the kind of person that exists in other parts of the world. So an important message that I guess links back to the happiness of Finland, work-life balance, as you mentioned. So it's a great message. Yeah. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So, Antti, that's it for this episode of Clinical Trialblazers. Thank you, Antti Vuolanto, for sharing your insights and experiences with us. Stay tuned for more episodes of Clinical Trialblazers, where we will continue to explore human stories behind the ideas and innovations shaping biopharma and biotech, as we've done today with Antti. If you enjoyed this episode, check out our other episodes and be sure to follow or subscribe. Please take a moment to rate and review this podcast wherever you listen. Clinical Trialblazers is created by Parexel Biotech and hosted by me, Alberto Grignolo. Special thanks to our production partner, Wonder Media Network. And until next time, stay curious and let's keep pushing the boundaries of clinical research.